Good morning and welcome to the Next One podcast. I'm Jo, current degree apprenticeship on the management degree at University of Chichester. I'm here with fellow student Colin.
Yeah, I'm Collins, student of business management and marketing, second year student.
And we're here today with Millie McIntyre, who graduated in 2022 with a Bachelor in Business and Events Management. So Millie, could you tell us a bit about your current role and the path that you've kind of taken to get there?
So I'm currently working in Australia as as an environmental and climate change consultant. So I've only recently sort of started this role about 6-7 months ago now. After studying at Chichester, doing like business and events management, I decided to go and get my master's over here in Australia, in environment and climate emergency, which was a really eye-opening course. It's a bit more niche, going a bit more into detail about the impacts like climate change and other environmental and social problems going on around the world. And ended up falling into this job, and I love what I do. It's really interesting, and I've recommended it to anyone who's interested in that industry.
Oh, it seems like lots of fun though. Do you ever feel that the university equipped you with enough knowledge to go into the real world?
Yeah, definitely. Some of my lecturers I'm still in contact with now who have like really helped me. I think one of them, who I know is not working at Chichester anymore, I've met up with after I've even moved out here, and he's like really helped me with getting me on other courses that can help progress my career, which has been amazing. And obviously the university like give you an opportunity with your assignments and things to do it around things that you're interested in. So for me, although I was doing business and events management, I was really interested in like the sustainability side of things, and that's sort of what got me onto my next course. And they were really willing to allow students to do what they want their assignments to be based on. So with everything being like a bit of a like around sustainable focused assignments for me, they were more than happy to help me put me in the right direction of how I could do that, and different like career opportunities as well.
And then how come you decided to do your master's in Australia?
I have family that live here, and I've lived out here before. So I wanted to come back, and doing my master's was sort of the next step of what to do study wise. And I found this course out here. Like I said, it was the Masters in Environment and Climate Emergency at Curtin University. And I just found it. I looked through all the units. It was really, really interesting, and it's probably one of the best things I've done. Same as like going and doing my bachelor's. It's definitely one of the most like challenging but rewarding experiences.
Yeah. And with when did you kind of look, so I suppose in terms of kind of current students here, when did you start thinking about your next steps or kind of looking at masters, or did you have like a gap or a break?
So I think I graduated, so I like finished my actual degree sort of about June time. I think I graduated like September time. And I was already thinking at that point, I knew I wanted to come back out to Australia. I knew like masters is like what I wanted to do study wise. So it was pretty soon after I sort of finished all my studies, I was like looking into it. And then I think I got accepted into uni out here probably about 4 months after I left uni, maybe 4 or 5 months after I left, like graduated from Chichester. Sorry, did I answer everything? I can't remember what the other part of the question was.
That covered it, yeah.
Well, 4 months actually seems like a very long time. Was it very difficult? Were you like anticipating for the result, or were you like 100% sure you'll get it? Or
I was interested in coming back out here and doing my masters, but at the same time I was like contemplating whether to just go into work. And I actually got offered a job just before I got accepted to uni here. So I was working full time already in another role that I'd just been working part time in. Was looking for like sort of event management roles. Was offered a job at Roland's Hospice as an event coordinator there. And then I got accepted to come out here, so it just seemed a bit silly. Like I had to choose between one or the other, and decided to come out and study.
okay, great. So tell us about your role. Tell us
Yeah,
something interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I learn something new every day. I sort of always knew I wanted to get into like the consulting side of things. I think you can make a big impact in consulting, and also especially in like the sort of environmental and climate change area. It's a lot of policymakers look to consultants to set the best practices, and then that's where a lot of policies follow on from, is like sort of the standards that consultants set. So sort of knew I wanted to do something like that. But my job is, I work for an approvals team. So they deal with approvals in environmental like sort of development side of things. So if if a developer wants to develop a land and there's lots of like native vegetation and fauna and flora out here, so it's like animals and like birds, a lot more than there is in England. So it's a lot more goes into like sort of taking up the land. If they want to develop it, then they need to get a lot of approvals for that. So that's like one area of the work that I do, is I do like the Environmental like Protection Act approvals, or we'll come up with like big documents to like reports to support a development that's going to go on, like whether we want to suggest like where they should plan the development out to then keep the environmental values. And then the other part of the sort of work that I do is the climate change and sort of sustainability side of things. So at the moment, a couple of bits of work that we're working on is we've just done a big peer review for a climate risk assessment, which was for like a council. That was like really, really interesting. So they'd already done all the work, needed a lot of updating. We went through and like updated all the climate science and put all our findings in, and like done a lot of projections as to like different climate scenarios. We've also just been working with another council on creating a sustainability strategy. So that looks into working out what it is they're currently doing, again doing like projections of like if they were to reduce their emissions by doing like one action, how much could that reduce their emissions by? Like where should they reduce their emissions? Like what's going to be like the biggest cost savers? What do the public want? There's lots of like workshopping in with like the community and things like that. So that's like another big piece of work that we're working on at the moment. But yeah, the whole job is just very interesting. It's really, really good.
Oh, great. I know sustainability can be very, very interesting because I did a research last semester, and it's quite challenging. I just want to ask, why sustainability? Why did you go for the whole sustainability thing when, there's a lot of good, bad side about the whole thing, people saying this, so there are people saying this. So why? What drew you to sustainability?
Yeah, I've always been really interested in the environment and like nature and things like that. And I think like having learned a couple of like done a couple of like sort of sustainability related units at Chichester, I just sort of found that there's like a big need for it at the moment. Like we're overusing, over consuming, like no one is really thinking about the impacts it's having on the environment. Like there is a small amount of people that are, if you look in the scheme of the whole world. And it's obviously it's really scary. I think that's one thing that I've really taken away from all of my studies, as well as in my masters. Like I would leave some of my lessons and just feel like I want to cry, because it's so challenging and daunting, and you just think there's like no way to come up with like solutions. But at the same time, like with the young people that are going to make a difference in the world, like it's our generation that's going to take a stand and really like take those actions and make sure that we're improving the world rather than destroying it. And I think that's really important for people who are younger, to be learning and growing rather than following in the same footsteps that we have been and destroying the world. Like, you want to leave the world a better place, I think.
Thank you. We have a few questions from some students. So one of the questions was about how, although I suppose you have done the masters, but how have you been able to transfer the skills from the degree that you've done here to kind of into your role now?
Yeah, I was working in another job just before this particular role, and I did quite a lot of marketing at Chichester as well. and that was a big part of my degree. And I was actually working for a carbon offset company, so they were like sell carbon offsets, and it was a lot of marketing. So I really managed to transfer my skills into that job, and now I am where I am at the moment. We're like really trying to market ourselves as well in terms of like getting this new business with the climate change and sustainability side of things. So I've definitely like been able to take those skills over. Also, like doing business, I feel like there's lots of understanding of like the economy, and I feel like that's an area of like the environmental sustainability side of things that people miss out. They don't really think about the like economic side of things. And it's not just about the environment and nature and things like that. You've also got like the social aspects, like I said, economic aspects, like finances, like how does a country run themselves? How do like governments decide what to do? So I think having done business and having a good understanding of those sorts of things has really helped me to apply that onto the sustainability side of things as well. Especially when I'm in work, sometimes like a lot of the people I work with are like ecologists, they're more like environmental science, whereas I'm more like humanities based, or like business based. So I feel like I've been able to come into the office and have a fresh set of eyes on things that people won't really think about sometimes. So it has been, yeah, it's been really good having done a range of different topics.
Okay. Still on student questions. I hope you'll be able to answer this, but a student asked, why do government tax people for climate change?
What was that? Does the government...
Why do the government tax people for climate change?
I think it's important to tax people on climate change. I think especially in the EU, they've got a really good structure in place with, for example, taxing other countries for importing goods in. So I don't know if you've heard of CBAM. So it's an incentive that's just been put out by the government at the moment, which is having a big impact even over here in Australia. And it all like sort of fizzles down. So if you're like taxing one person here, like it goes down the supply chain, which is really important. And I think what a lot of people don't really understand is this like carbon attached onto everything. There's carbon attached onto the clothes that you buy, on the food that you eat. Like if you walk to work, like you're on your phone, like there's carbon attached to that. Like we have to make a stand for it somewhere. And I think it's really good if some countries, not every country over here, they're not very good at doing much around taxing people and putting the responsibility into the consumer's hands. But I think it is really important to put that back to people, whether that's like the supplier, like the person who's making the product, or like the service, or whether that's like the end user. Like someone needs to pay, and if you don't make someone pay for it a lot of the time, then why would people even bother to reduce their emissions?
Interesting. So another student question is that, did you ever feel you weren't ready to enter a real business environment, and did you ever feel imposter syndrome?
Definitely imposter syndrome. Even now, like I've just graduated my master's with like a distinction, which is the highest grade here, and I'm still like don't feel confident in myself. And the whole way through like my bachelor's as well, like even when I graduated at the end, like I would get assignments back and I would do really well, and I'd just sit there and get upset and be like, how have I got this grade? Like I think it's so normal to have imposter syndrome, especially like when you're young and you're learning and you're still learning about yourself. In terms of like going into a career, can you just repeat that part of the...
Did you ever feel that you weren't ready to enter a real business environment?
I'm fortunate enough to have worked pretty much since I left like college. I sort of left college at like 17 and was in a workplace straight away, like working in a full-time job. So I've like had a lot of experience before going to uni, where I went to uni when I was 21, so I'd had like 3 years of working full-time and being in like office environments and learning like how to be a good employee, sorry. Yeah, and like learning to work with people. So I wasn't too scared about going into the workplace, but definitely like going into my current job, feel like the imposter syndrome, like I'm just winging it. I feel like you just got to fake it till you make it sometimes. And I definitely feel like I do that so much in my job. And even like the girl that I work under, who's like one of the most intelligent like people that I've met, and I just hear her speak sometimes and it just goes straight over my head. And I say to her all the time, like I feel like I'm just winging this job at the moment. She's like, oh, I'm still am now, and I'm 5 years down the line, and she's like an amazing consultant. So I think everyone always feels like that. Like no one's alone in feeling like they're not doing the right thing. And I think as long as you're willing to try, that's like the most important thing, because if you try, at least like you're gonna learn something along the way.
Okay, great. Well, the whole imposter syndrome thing, you made a very, very good point. It's everywhere. I think I also feel it too. Sometimes you have good grades, but you're like, just 5 marks and I'm a B or something, or you feel like you're not ready. So it's really great, your strategy for, coping with it, bringing it. It's quite amazing. If you were to change anything, like from the start of your career, let's take you way back to college and university, masters. So from the start of your career to your relocation, if you had to change anything at all, what would you change?
I wouldn't change anything from my career path. Like I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I feel like I'm doing what I'm doing now, which I love, because of all those things that have happened. Like maybe like business and event management, it wasn't what I was going to go to like into in the end, but it's led me on to what I'm doing now. But I think maybe if I look back and I reflect on how I've dealt with things, is maybe just like not to take life so seriously all the time and just enjoy it a bit more. Like I've just been studying for 5 years, and I feel like you're in your 20s or whatever, and you sometimes don't enjoy life. It's good to take those moments and really like sit back, and when you're, I don't know, sat around with your friends or out for dinner, or just like those little moments, like really take it in and feel like proud of yourself and enjoy it.
Another question from a student was, what could we do as a civilization with climate change?
I think if everyone just makes small steps and small changes in their life to really try and be a bit more aware of their impacts, I think understanding their impacts is the main thing to do. Because once you understand it and you go, oh, do you know what? Actually, I'm having like a big impact over time, then you're probably more willing to make those small changes. Like little things like, I won't go and buy a coffee without my reusable coffee cup. I won't, like, I don't eat meat anymore, because I know there's lots of carbon attached to that, and I love animals and I don't want to do that. There's like so many small changes you can make. You don't have to make a big change in your life in order to make a bit more of a positive impact or lessen your impacts on the environment. But also I think in terms of if you want to make big actions, is putting pressure on the government and calling for change, going to like protests and things like that, because they're the things that do actually start to make a difference. And that's when, like, if the public's putting pressure on the government, like, then the government have to listen. But if no one's bothering to make a point in standing up for these kinds of things, then they're just not going to listen. They're going to carry on doing whatever they need to do just to make money.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would like to say thank you very much for yeah for taking our time today to come assist the students and help us, give us your advice, tell us about your amazing career and everything, all your decisions, everything. It's really, 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 really great to have you here today. And let's say maybe you can tell us one last piece of advice, anything?
I would say if you're in like a situation work-wise and you're not enjoying it, and like, don't stick it out and don't waste time on sticking those things out. Like the quicker you end something that's bad in your life, the quicker you're making room for something good to happen. There's always going to be moments in people's careers where they're not enjoying where they're working or not enjoying their work, and they feel like they have to stick it out. So I think that's one thing that I've learned, is sometimes it's good to let it go, because it actually opens another door, and that door can be the one that you need to be walking through rather than being stuck in the situation that you're in now. And also, yeah, like I said, just enjoy studying, enjoy what you're learning, take as much from it as you can. Yeah, and have fun with it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been
That's
fun.
all right. Yeah, no, it's been really interesting. It's been really useful.
I look forward to seeing other people's interviews. I have to keep an eye out.
So it was very, very interesting to have her here today. She had a lot of things to say. The thing that struck me was the advice she gave on imposter syndrome. I know it's something personally I face, and I'm sure other students will face it. And it's, sometimes you can't really help it, but to see that, oh, someone has gotten to this stage and the person still having imposter syndrome means, yeah, there's hope for us.
Yeah.
We're still starting off. I think it was quite nice.
Yeah, I think even she said with her manager that she still kind of
Yeah.
feels that thing as well. So it's quite just a normal thing, isn't it, in the kind of workplace? But just I think her emphasis was kind of keep trying your best and doing what you're doing. And obviously, like, she has clearly done well with the things that she has
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
And probably just recognizing that. I think also she kind of mentioned about looking at like the smaller things and enjoying kind of the moment, your studies, and kind of looking at if things aren't really right for you, then just good to kind of move on and do like the next thing rather than kind of wait around, which was really good. Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, like, how do you enjoy and study at the same time? It's quite, I think it's quite difficult in a way. How would you actually have those balance? When do you want to enjoy? When do you want to study? When do you want to work? Sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, but I think I get the point she's trying to make.
Yeah.
Like, try at least, and keep trying until whenever.
For the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting she's dealing with or she's working with sustainability. It's quite nice. The climate is changing, oceans getting polluted, so many things, carbon emissions, focusing on that aspect, and it's sustainability is quite becoming very, very rampant these days, and most countries and companies are actually trying to keep their carbon footprint down to zero.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's quite interesting. It's nice.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
interesting that she's come from doing the business
Yeah.
and event management degree into that, because I probably wouldn't have thought that would be something
Yeah.
you might go on to.
Yeah.
And just as even as kind of options for like your masters or further study or work kind of careers, actually it's not limited to kind of what you'd see as an ordinary business environment or kind of marketing. So I think that's quite interesting that you can go on to do other things, and it's a step to the kind of next step.
At least now I'm a bit confident. She said that the university actually equipped her with enough knowledge, how to get into the real world.
Yeah.
I'm very confident now.
Yeah.